Hey, are you thinking about getting yourself a shipping container, just like the one behind me? Maybe you want to turn it into an office, workspace, studio, or maybe you just want it as a man cave. If that's the case, then this video is for you. My name is djeddieone. I'm part of the Heavy Hitter DJs. I'm a radio personality, content creator out of Los Angeles, and I'm gonna show you step by step how I put my dream workspace into reality. I made it happen, man, and I'm gonna show you all the mistakes I made, what went right, what went wrong, so that you don't make those mistakes that can cost you, a lot of money, thousands of dollars. And make sure to stay all the way into the end for some extra bonus tips, final thoughts, so that you can save even more money. Let's get right into it. Super important. Make sure you order the right size container for your space and that can actually fit through the driveway. I got lucky. As you can see, it was a tight squeeze. Also, double check for power lines. These lines from my neighbor got really close. Plan ahead before delivery and know exactly where the container is going. Once that driver drops it, it's not like moving a couch. I chose to place mine in the far corner of the property, away from the main house. That way, when I'm inside, it actually feels like I'm at work and not just hanging out at home. That mental switch is real. Things I did not plan on doing. Upgrading my electrical panel. That was not part of the plan, but my electrician told me that my 200 amp panel might work, but if the AC, lights, pool pump are all running at the same time, I could have power issues. I didn't want to take any chances, so I upgraded to a 400 amp panel. Solar panel ready and future proof. Luckily, I found me a solid electrician who really came through and did a clean job. Next challenge, running power from the main panel all the way across the property. It was probably the most challenging part of the whole job. We had to go through the attic, across the house, through the garage where I already have 2 EV chargers, as you can see right here. Both power and internet lines go across the garage, come out through the other side of the garage, and on top of that, we even had to drill underground. That also wasn't part of the plan. We were definitely freestyling and making it happen. Check out this hole we had to drill here. We then patched it up. After that, we still had to run the power and internet lines through pipes another 20 to 30 yards to finally reach the container. Power was honestly the biggest hurdle of this entire build and the priciest part of the whole build for me, because we had to run a lot of pipe, a lot of cable. If your main panel is already near where you're gonna place the container, you're gonna save yourself a lot of money. He ended up installing 14 outlets plus the power for the AC, and we still have 1 extra circuit to spare. It was then time for the door installation, and for that I call the pros. Starbridge Windows and Doors in Anaheim, California. Shout out to my primo Alex Mendoza and his crew. They handled it perfectly. My biggest concern was leaks when it rains, and they sealed everything right. Solid work, and they got me the door that I wanted that lets a lot of light inside the container. Again, Latinos work hard and they do a good job, and they bump reggaeton while doing it. Another issue that came up was the ground where I placed the container. It wasn't leveled. The container was tilting to the right. We had to improvise and lift it with a jack, temporarily placing wooden blocks underneath. We then made custom metal supports to keep the container leveled. Then we got to work on the framing. Shout out to the homeboy Dave, who does the best work. Man, he's a pro. Besides the electrical and insulation, which I hire other companies for, he handled the rest of the build. He really brought the whole container together. It was time for installation, and for that, I hit up my Colombian Connect Santiago from Royal Remodeling Inc. in the San Fernando Valley for some advice. He recommended Kiko's Insulation. Yep, another Latino-owned company. You seen the pattern? Yep, Latinos work hard. I'm telling you. I went with spray foam insulation. Really, for California, it might be a bit overkill, but I did my research, and this actually helps with sound control so noise doesn't leak out of the container. We also added a layer of Rockwool insulation on top. It did reduce the interior space a bit, but it was definitely worth it for the extra soundproofing. All that was key for me to keep the sound contained and avoiding the neighbors calling the cops on me. After insulation, it was time for drywall. This metal box you see here in the corner is where the electrical panel sits on the outside of the container. At first, I was like, is that gonna be sticking out like that? Dave had a plan, and the acoustic foam that we were gonna install later on was gonna take care of that. You'll see that later. We had a similar situation with the door frame. The framing was sticking out past the drywall. But again, we installed the acoustic panels later on, and that solved the issue. For electrical outlets, I went with silver and white at the top to match the gray fabric that we were gonna install on top of the acoustic panels. And for the bottom, we did all black outlets to match the all black fabric. Little details like that make a big difference. Then it was time to paint. We chose a gray color for the ceiling and upper walls to match the gray fabric that you're gonna see shortly. For the floor, I went with a light gray tone that matched the upper walls and tied in nicely with the gray ceiling. We also installed a floor outlet right where I knew my turntables were gonna be sitting. After that, Dave got to work installing the frames and the actual acoustic panels in place. For the AC, I went with a mini split from a company called Mirage. They make a model called Ventus X, a 19,000 BTU unit that works really well and connects to the internet for remote control. After that, I started visualizing wood panels on each side of the container as part of the backdrop. I also imagined 1 or 2 wood accent pieces running down from the AC all the way down to the floor, right where I knew my desk was gonna go for the office and video editing area. And for that, I found a spot in downtown LA where I got exactly the wood panels I was looking for. I went with black wood panels that matched perfectly with my black fabric. It was time to move on to the acoustic panels that practically covered the entire container, and I was very happy with the before and after. Then it started raining, but that didn't stop us. We kept pushing through, especially once the walls started taking shape and everything was looking really, really good. I told Dave I wanted a TV mounted on this wall, so I had him run an Ethernet line there to hardwire the TV instead of relying on Wi-Fi. We did the same thing on this side by adding an Ethernet outlet at the bottom by the floor, since I knew my desk would be sitting in that spot. Another detail, as you can see here, is custom-made metal bars on the ceiling. From past experience, I didn't want cables running all over the floor. I wanted to mount as much gear as possible onto those bars to keep the studio looking clean. And check out this outlet right here. Nice little detail, right? For entertainment, I went with a budget TCL Google TV, and these chairs and the table you see here, I scored them on OfferUp for about $200. I want to give a special shout out to Donny Rodriguez, my Guatemalan homeboy, the guy you see here in the blue shirt. He sadly passed away just a few days later. Rest in peace, Donny's. Rest in heaven. Now let's head inside and I'll show you the final product, the finished inside part of the studio. To my right is my DJ and broadcast setup. I go live from here a few times a week on the radio and on social media. Broadcasting from here gets me an extra hour of sleep so I can bring better energy to the show on Mega 96.3 FM. To my left is my podcast area / man cave, where I shoot podcast episodes, do interviews, and I also watch my sports in peace and quiet. And that TV you see on the wall, I'm about to show you a little trick that I use to go from podcast mode to man cave mode. Shout out to Mantle Mount, the company that makes this TV mount that you see here. I'm about to put it in action. Thanks to this setup, I can keep the TV up high when I'm watching, and I can lower it whenever I'm shooting content. Another reason why I like lowering the TV is because I'm able to record on eye level with my DSLR cameras. Not only that, but I also avoid the lantern light from hitting the TV head on, causing that reflection, which does not look good at all on camera. Pretty annoying. And to wrap it up, let me show you my office / editing desk, the exact spot where I edited the video you're watching right now. Overall, I'm very happy on how this multi-purpose studio turned out. Honestly, I wish I would have done this many years ago. And as promised, final thoughts and bonus tips. Let's talk about shipping container sizes. So there's a few different sizes. I went with a 10 by 20, 10 feet high, 20 feet long. More than enough space for me. There's other ones that are a little bit shorter on height, but I wanted to make sure I had extra headroom. So 10 feet high was perfect for me. When buying, make sure to inspect for rust and damage. So there's a rating system in containers, and I didn't know this. When I got this one, they told me, hey, this is a one trip. So what that means is that this container either went from the United States to China or from China to the United States once, and that's what's called a one trip. That's why this container you see back here had no scratches, no dings. Had some tiny minor scratches, but you know, that we cover them right up with the paint. Super important, plan out all your electrical work before the installation, because once you sealed everything up, it's a little bit harder to install more electrical stuff. into the container. Make sure you measure your driveway. Make sure you measure the doors that this container is gonna come in through. Make sure to look out for power lines like I mentioned at the beginning. And speaking on electrical, make sure your current electrical panel can handle all the electricity you're gonna be putting into the shipping container, or you might have to do what I did, which was upgrade my electrical panel. That was probably one of my biggest expenses in this build that I wasn't counting on. So you already know, if you're building a shipping container, maybe you're in Southern California and you're interested in getting one, I can put it all together for you. All my contact info is gonna be in the description below. So make sure to holler at me, djeddieone, and I'll take care of you. If you're out of state, I can help you as well. Hit like, subscribe, all that good stuff, and share this video with your friends. Have a good one.